Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar video. This is going to be my unboxing and review for two of the new wave of Avatar The Last Airbender Funko Pops. So I'm going to be reviewing today the Zhao and Ozai as part of the Commons, technically Wave 2 of Avatar Funko Pops. As you can see here on the back, this is the wave of Commons, the ones that aren't exclusive to anywhere. It's just, your 4 standard pops and then 1 Aang Pop Super, which I do also have. So the way I'm going to be doing it is this first video will be Zhao and Ozai, second video will be Suki and Ty Lee, and then we'll have a separate video on the big Aang, because I've been really waiting for that one, so it's going to be cool. To give it its own focus. So the theme is here, of course, Fire Nation, and specifically high up people in the Fire Nation. So let's start with Zhao, who was an interesting choice, I think, to do for Wave 2. A lot of the other sort of action figure or even like just merchandise lines haven't really done Zhao stuff. Like there's no Zhao action figure or anything. So it's interesting to see them go ahead with him here when a lot of the other lines seem to have like skipped over him. But he's a very important character for book 1 to be the kind of opposition to Zuko, to highlight that Zuko isn't the villain, because here's a guy who represents almost what you expect Zuko to be, but Zuko isn't that. So that's interesting to note there. Pretty standard stuff other than that. And yeah, let's just get into opening them up. So they do have an exclusive Zhao. It's probably, I think, the weakest exclusive for Avatar so far, in that it's a pretty similar pose. It's just, instead of holding the bag with the koi fish, he's just got a flame in his hand. It is a glow-in-the-dark, which is obviously kind of interesting, but to me this one is a more interesting character piece in terms of, Zhao, the Moon Slayer, rather than just Zhao with fire type thing. But anyway, here we go. So there he is. So he just comes normal, no stand for him. That's kind of interesting. My first wave, like pretty much everything came with a stand. This one doesn't, but it looks like he stands up pretty fine. Okay, so here we go. Here's a close-up look at him. So really nice stuff on just the kind of angry eyebrows here. His unique beard, of course, and top knot, of course. Fire Nation person here, so that makes sense. They've done the Fire Nation armor very well on previous figures, like Book 1 Zuko and Azula and stuff like that. So it's nice to see it done here. But with the addition of the cape is the thing that really sort of puts this one over the edge. It's really nicely done, especially with the pose. One hand behind the back, cape over it, and he has, of course, the bag that has the moon spirit inside it. So it's representing a kind of key moment from the end of book 1, where Zhao just goes that one step too far. He lets his kind of quest for power and glory go too far, messes with the spirits, and this is ultimately his downfall, of course. So a cool moment to represent him in that. Yeah, that probably is his signature kind of thing. Otherwise, probably the best thing for him would have been maybe, one of those kind of pop, versus things that they do, where it's like Zhao versus Zuko, kind of Agni Kai style. But I think they probably saved that for a bigger fight than that. So yeah, really nicely done. The head does move, so you can do some sly posing here like that, which is kind of nice. So yeah, really impressed with him, even though probably he's maybe on the outside the least interesting, and that's why again I say the exclusive Zhao is probably one of the least appealing ones, because I think it's pretty much an identical pose. It's just that the hand, instead of holding this, just is like that with a fire. And again, yeah, it's got the glow-in-the-dark thing, but there's not too much else to say really other than that. Interestingly, they do actually have the hand there, so like you can see it underneath the cloak. They could have done it in a way where like it was just kind of molded in at the back and they didn't have the detail there, but they made sure to get the detail right. So ultimately cool, but again we're looking for kind of more important characters going forward in the line. So then we move on to Zhao. Sorry, Ozai. A lot of Z's in the Fire Nation names, of course. So, interestingly, it is pop number 999. Interesting. Fire Lord Ozai. Again, nothing too much to say about the box or anything like that. So let's just get straight in. So okay, really cool there. Just immediately the base is kind of very notable on this one. Also, one thing I just noticed there in the packaging, just on the kind of bit of the kind of top of the lid here, you do have a little Fire Nation symbol, which is kind of cool. Just a little thing here on the packaging that's nice. But here we go, Ozai. It was one of those ones where the early pictures, I suppose it was maybe hard to get an exact sense for how exactly they were doing the base. In some of them it looked like, did he just have like a wall of fire coming out from the sides? But no, like it's a full-on, you know, circular base that he's in the middle of with sort of a ring of fire around him. And I think in general it's a really cool pose because it's just sort of the regal-looking Fire Lord Ozai, hands in his sleeves, like he's not doing anything, but he has full control over this sort of dangerous ring of fire around him. So, nice sort of representation of sort of Ozai as he is for basically, you know, the first 2 seasons. You only really get a sense for him as the looming guy on the throne, not really what he's like in action at all. So this is a cool representation of that. Again, it's cool that they have announced an exclusive Ozai that is him in battle against Aang at the end. Still looking for a place to get that for a decent price, but you know, hopefully I'll be able to get that one. But again, more sort of Fire Nation clothing here. So the coloring, the details, the paintwork is really, really nice. The other thing you can see here, again, that didn't, again, come across as well because of, again, some of the earlier pictures, is that it is actually Ozai kneeling down, as you can see there, by the positioning of, like, the legs there, the feet kind of coming out the back here. So even more interesting of a pose here that they went for. So very cool to see there. Again, they've got the his kind of goatee type thing, of course. The hair, the long hair at the back is pretty nice. And the main thing is, of course, the kind of the hairpiece that represents being the Fire Lord is really, really nicely detailed here. So yeah, that's really cool to see, just the kind of gold effect there, and it's kind of thick as well if you look at it from the side, but the detailing on it is quite nice. Hopefully at some point they do like a Fire Lord Zuko pop, so it'd be cool to see a Zuko with that piece in his hair. But yeah, it's cool. It's kind of like transparent red here for the fire here. Really, really cool. Again, I think I do prefer the newer exclusive Ozai that they announced, but just as a comment, if you just want a Ozai, this is actually quite well done. So it means, I'll just finish this off with a quick comparison between like the Fire Nation characters that we now have in the line. So we'll just put them here. We obviously have our Book 3 exclusive Zuko. We have Iroh, of course. We have Book 1 Zuko here, and also Azula. So the Book 3 Zuko, I suppose, is just him on his own. So it's interesting to just see this kind of grouping of the characters here, where, you know, they're still all wearing their sort of traditional kind of Fire Nation clothing. A lot of them are wearing sort of military or military-esque clothing. They look kind of quite nice all together, you know, in terms of if you take Zhao out, you've got the family here, the brothers here, and then brother and sister is here as well. And, you know, that's the dynamic there, you know, Zuko and his real father figure in Iroh, for the most part. And then Azula with the person who, you know, the one with Ozai, you know, the the child that he focused on more than the other. And so that is why, partly why Azula is the way she is just that Zuko at least had the care from Ursa for a certain section of his life, but because of the focus from Ozai, that was all Azula really got, and that's a part of her character that makes her kind of so interesting. So just really, really cool stuff there, the way you can now do some pretty nice scenes. I guess if you do wanted to do more of a kind of diorama scene, this is a very specific instance of Zhao towards the end of book 1. If you do want to do earlier scenes, I guess that's where the value of having maybe that other Zhao where it is more of him just in a normal pose, just with the fire, could be quite interesting. But yeah, overall, pretty impressed with these two. But I will say, definitely, these were probably the two, perhaps maybe like least interesting of the wave, in terms of just from a character perspective, because Ozai mainly is sort of a physical threat, more so than being a really, really interesting character by himself. And then Zhao plays his role nicely in book 1. But again, there are much more interesting characters that I think people want as a Funko Pop. So yeah, they're my thoughts on Zhao and Ozai from the Wave 2 Commons. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were. But that has been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.